Tonight, a man forced to jump off Whyalla Jetty when a fire took hold this afternoon.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. A man has had a lucky escape after being forced to jump off Whyalla Jetty this afternoon when it burst into flames. Shocked witnesses described the black plume of smoke which blanketed the area as fire crews worked tirelessly to contain the blaze. Shari Hams was there and has the story.
Black flames billow metres into the air as a fire takes hold of the Whyalla Jetty.
Well done, Whyalla Jetty, up in flames.
A man working on the site forced to jump off in an effort to escape the flames. A nearby police officer watching the incident unfold, jumping in too to save him.
Didn't think it was quite normal, and within about 5 minutes the whole thing was on fire. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. There was a couple of guys at the end that were sort of trapped, and yeah.
But whatever it was a catastrophe, and there was one of the workers, you could see him in the high-vis vest and whatever on the other side of the fire.
Emergency services called to the scene at around 1 p.m, working tirelessly to contain the flames. The CFS saying it was caused from work being undertaken on the jetty when a piece of cutting equipment came into contact with combustibles.
Where it was an oversight in hindsight, and when these guys do their accident investigation, I'm sure that they'll pick the hell out of it and say and identify where they went wrong.
The fire took 30 minutes to contain, with locals rushing to the foreshore to catch a glimpse of the flames. The scene behind me now cleared, but investigations into the cause are underway. One fisherman says it's lucky the structure is already destined for demolishment, with works in place for a new jetty. Shocked?
I'm not shocked. I like say Whyalla Jetty, a new one for better, for the public, for the fishing.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
50 pastoralists from around the state have met in Port Augusta to discuss issues surrounding the future of the livestock industry. Livestock SA says it's important people share their concerns in tough times.
In the midst of our second driest year on record since the turn of the 20th century, the drought is hitting pastoralists and farmers alike harder than ever.
It means that a lot of places have destocked, so there's a lot of issues around the drought.
Despite small patches of rainfall in June and July, new figures show 37% of people on the land are hopeful another good drink is just around the corner.
You've got to be optimistic, otherwise it gets very depressing.
Overall for September it is looking like it's going to be a drier than average month, and drier than average conditions extending through October, November as well.
The effects of the drought and water management, just some of the topics debated in Port Augusta today by pastoralists stretching all the way to the Northern Territory border. The group also discussing changes to the outdated Pastoral Act.
By coming together in a room of your peers and finding out that you're all worried about the same things and you want to work together to help fix it is a great benefit to everyone.
Livestock SA says these events are vital to the future of the industry. Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
South Australia's mid-north could soon have more than 300 new construction jobs, with French energy giant Neoen announcing plans to build $1 billion energy renewable project in Borough. The group is proposing to include a wind and solar farm along with 900 megawatts of battery storage. The renewable energy group has experienced public backlash in the past for a wind farm being constructed outside of Crystal Brook. A driver has been clocked travelling at almost 80 kilometres over the speed limit in Port Augusta. The New South Wales man was nabbed by police late yesterday, driving at a speed of 180 kilometres an hour. The 27-year-old received a fine of more than $1,000 and had his licence suspended for 6 months. Snake catchers are warning Port Pirie residents to be on the lookout, with a warm start to spring waking up the local brown snake population from hibernation. But for snake catchers, it means it's a time of year when their business is booming.
Some of the most venomous creatures in the world sliding their way into our parks and backyards. Snake season is upon us.
So they'll just be starting to warm up now and coming out very hungry. They're looking to mate. And, get active.
For the mid-north, snake catcher this time of year sees a boom in business. The most reported variety, the eastern brown. Known for its bad temper, the common brown snake is responsible for more deaths every year in Australia than any other species.
The past 2 seasons I've caught, it was about 48 eastern browns.
SA Ambulance Service says that 29 people have already been admitted to hospital this year with snake bites, a figure expected to rise going into summer. The local council is urging residents to remain vigilant when enjoying the green spaces around the town's waterfront.
In past years, there's certainly been a bit of a hot spot down here with at Solly Beach.
People are also reminded to mow their lawns and clean up scrapped building materials in their backyard.
Back away, don't try to catch it or hurt it. If you can, isolate it. If it's in your house, close the door, put a towel or something else under the gap on the door.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Golf News.
There's a new addition to South Australia's Silo Art Trail, with Cowra getting its own mural this week. Local legend Lionel Deer and his famous camels being painted sky high by Byron Bay artist Nitsua.
A local larrikin painted alongside his trusty camel. Byron Bay artist Nitsua's latest work as part of his new venture into silo art.
Doing something like this out here, and just silo art in general, it's quite wild to the local community because it's such contrast, you know. There's nothing around like it.
The colourful mural in Cowra taking shape this week, paying tribute to fellow artist and farmer Leon Deer, well known for his love of camels, even bringing them along to the local pub.
I've always wanted to go bigger with my work, you know. I just keep wanting to go larger and larger. It's the reason why I got into doing large-scale mural work.
The mural has been in the pipeline for nearly 2 years, with local businesses and community grants raising over $20,000 for the project. The town's new look hoping to attract more tourists to the area.
Our hope is that it creates, you know, tourism and bringing more and more people to our town of Cowra.
The mural is the latest work to join South Australia's silo art craze, alongside Tumby Bay and Waikerie. Nathan Rector, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, the final touches in place for Port Lincoln's Art Group exhibition and new technology to replace cash at this year's Broken Hill. Welcome back. This year's Broken Hill Festival will introduce a new method of paying for food and drinks. Patrons attending the 3-day event will be given high-tech wristbands to use when making purchases.
A glass of champagne, it's just a tap of the wrist. With thousands of Broken Hill Festival goers set to converge on the Palace this weekend, efficient service is vital. These new RFID cashless wristbands will help with that.
It's a lot more streamlined. It's going to make it a lot easier for our staff members to be able to take transactions, which will mean faster service.
So how do they work? It's quite simple. The user puts money onto the band at recharging stations around the venue or in the ticket office. Once charged, buying a round of drinks will be as easy as lifting your arm up.
We're still accepting cash card and the payments by the wristband. In the outside bars and in the outside food vendors, it is just wristband only.
Leftover money on the pink payment accessory can be reclaimed on card or in cash. The wristbands can also be used in the festival's merchandise shop. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Port Lincoln's Art Group is frantically working on its final touches for this year's art exhibition. Artists young and old coming together to celebrate the theme of growth and development.
Pulling out the paintbrushes and getting to work. Port Lincoln artists wasting no time as they prepare for this year's Bloomin Art Exhibition.
It took a bit of a while to decide on the name, but decided that blooming depicts growth and development, and that's been particularly much of a focus this year.
Artists aged from as young as 20 years old to 90 years old, all coming together to create their own masterpiece. 83-year-old Ernie Kempster has been painting since the late 80s, but a recent health scare hasn't seen him attend these workshops for several weeks.
I come as often as I can, but I haven't been long lately for a while because Wednesday's been pushed out a bit. I've had to go to the hospital.
Today Ernie's painting the famous windmill farm at Penong, using an old newspaper clipping to guide him.
There's a lot of mentoring done with some of the more experienced artists, so people are always supported.
Artists here today working on their finishing touches, with more than 60 unique pieces set to be showcased at the exhibition. You looking forward to the exhibition?
Yes, I do. And let the public have their say.
The event will open later this month. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Jamestown is enjoying a splash of colour too, with the town's biannual Mural Festival kicking off today. Painters from across Australia descending upon the mid-north town to print their own creative stamp.
Jamestown's 5-day Mural Festival was a picture-perfect race to the finish. 6 hand-picked artists from across the nation add a brush of brilliance to the town's high street.
I've been very lucky. I've seen what each artist is doing and it's going to be amazing.
This year's theme, Colours of the Outback, a theme drawing a diverse array of entries, some choosing to focus on Australia's wildlife.
There's quite a lot of life out there that we sort of don't know exists, and I wanted to choose some kind of creature.
Steve Mong drawing inspiration from Indigenous model Magnolia.
I tried to be a bit more diverse because I figured everyone was going to go landscape. Obviously, Colours of the Outback is open to that interpretation.
Local artist Alicia Sparks says she wants to capture the natural beauty of the mid-north.
It's a aerial view from Mount Remarkable, looking down over the paddocks. Summertime, sitting under the nice cool trees.
The artists have until Sunday morning to complete their works. Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Now let's take a look at this week's fuel prices. Here's Patrick Ranke.
With school holidays right around the corner, it's no surprise petrol prices have skyrocketed. Starting with unleaded, and everywhere is red except Broken Hill, which went down by 1 cent. Port Lincoln has jumped up to $1.53, Whyalla is up 15 cents from last week at $1.49. Port Augusta has spiked badly to $1.63. Port Pirie not doing too bad at $1.39. Kadina is a bit more than that. Adelaide has risen by 13 cents. To diesel now, and Port Lincoln is breaking even. The same goes for Port Augusta and Port Pirie. Whyalla is down a cent. Kadina has also seen no movement and still averages $1.49. Broken Hill is seeing green with a 2 cent decline. Adelaide doing all right. A quick look at Autogas sees Whyalla and Kadina on the way down. Port Lincoln, Port Augusta, Broken Hill and Adelaide all keeping quiet. Port Pirie is the only one on the up with a 5 cent jump. Remember that these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. If you do find a spot that does sell it for cheaper, let us know on our Facebook page.
Stay with us after the break. Netball fever hits the Spencer Golf and we'll have the weather details with Britt. Hello again. To local sport now, and many netball associations are gearing up for their grand finals this weekend. Saturday's preliminary final round gave us some cracking games, including a 1-goal thriller in Port Augusta.
The dreaded prelim final is a do-or-die match. Get the win, it's a grand final appearance. Lose and it's season over. Imperial will take on Wayback in this weekend's Port Lincoln Premiership match after downing Souths United 40 goals to 30. Southern Flinders were just too strong for Orroroo in the northern areas. They will play Broughton Mundura. Stacey Curtis was in good finals form, leading her side Tumby Bay to a 15-goal win over United Yelana. Cummins Kapini await them. Moonta faces a very tough final against CMS Crows following their 4-goal victory against Kadina. The Crows went through the season undefeated and are looking formidable, but anything can happen in the finals. It was heartbreak in Port Augusta on Saturday, the prelim final between Railways and Vikings coming right down to the wire. Unfortunately, there could only be one winner, Railways just getting over the line by one solitary goal. The grand final of Port Lincoln Soccer will be played this Sunday at Curtin Oval, Lincoln Knights contesting South Coast. The two sides met in the last minor round, the Knights winning 2-0. In the other game, Daniel Nisbet scored a double for the Lincoln City Raiders. In Broken Hill, Celtic bested Alma and West just got past St Joe's. Finally, in the SA Amateur League, Savoy tied with Seaford. And that does it for another big weekend of local sport. Good luck to all the teams playing in the finals. And a reminder that if you want your sports results on 7 Spencer Golf News, email them to localsport@sca.com.au.
Now for a look at the rest of the week's weather, here's Britt.
Thanks, Louise, and good evening.
Springtime is well and truly upon us with bright and sunny conditions across the region today. Port Augusta reached a lovely 28 degrees. It was 27 at Whyalla, 26 at Port Pirie and 23 degrees at Port Lincoln, Broken Hill and Adelaide. Looking to the skies now, and from the satellite we can see the high pressure system keeping our region cloud-free. Moving ahead to tomorrow now, and a trough of low pressure is expected to move through southern South Australia with a new high forming in the Bight. On the coastal waters, southerly winds tending southwesterly at 15 to 20 knots with seas around 1 metre. And the sun will rise at 25 minutes past 6 with sunset at 6:08 in the evening. It's looking to be another warm and sunny day across the region, cracking 30 degrees at Port Augusta. Woodnut, Corn and Broken Hill all looking at tops of 28, Whyalla 26, Port Pirie 25, Cleve 23, Clare and Kadina 21, Adelaide 20, Port Lincoln and Coffin Bay 19. Looking ahead through the week and into the weekend, fine and partly cloudy conditions expected at Port Lincoln Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Maximums warming into the mid-20s by the end of the week. Cleve also looking fine and partly cloudy, expecting to reach 29 degrees on Saturday. Woodnut jumping into the low 30s at the weekend. Whyalla looking fine and partly cloudy on Friday, maximums dropping back a little before warming up for a sunny Saturday. A top of 30 degrees expected on Sunday. Similar conditions at Port Augusta, a max of 25 on Friday, but then back in the 30s across the weekend. Kadina looking fine and partly cloudy Friday and Sunday, with a sunny day expected on Saturday. Port Pirie and Clare both with partly cloudy days expected Friday and Sunday. Saturday looking sunny with higher maximums across the weekend. And finally to Broken Hill, where it's looking bright and sunny through the remainder of the week. A top of 29 degrees expected on Sunday. And with that, Louise, it's back to you.
Thanks for that, Britt. And that's your local news this Wednesday evening. Thanks for joining us today. We'll have updates later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.